So Nextfest is Capital Bop Nextfest. We're an organization that started back in 2010, dedicated to preserving, promoting, and presenting jazz in Washington, D.C. Nextfest is our second annual festival that we're promoting ourselves. This is our opportunity, our moment to present our work, but also present the work of DC's beautiful legacy of music, history, and culture.
And so to have people out here in one place enjoying DC's homegrown music, go-go, and indulging in the beauty of jazz music and pushing DC statehood at the same time, it really is just a match made in heaven. And I think the message couldn't come across any better or clearer when you merge those two things together.
So I'm a musician also myself. We're organizers. We organize people, we organize the community around our shows, around our vibe as musicians, the kind of information and energy that we put out there. So we have the platform, we've created our own platforms to reach people with vital information.
The music has been curated so wonderfully, so I wanted to curate the intellectual portion in a way that complemented it, that took it not just from performance, but to invite the audience to engage with, to think about culture, its role in our lives, and how culture directly relates to our identity and how it spurs us to action. So moving to statehood would significantly empower Washingtonians, the people who love this city, to determine for themselves how they're going to move in self-determination, self-governance, and an understanding of how to just have a better say-so in how this nation moves. And the importance of the culture in that is that culture as a way of encouraging the soul, of helping you remember who you are and what you're fighting for and why you're fighting in the first place. It improves morale, it helps clarify the message, and it helps us transmit messages from generation to generation. So that's why it's so important to make sure we offset our entertainment consumption with our intellectual engagement and ultimately with our civic participation.
Any movement that has a lot of people rallying behind it must have some type of meaning. And even though I'm not fully learned in the cultural significance behind it, I can understand why a group of people would want to have their voices heard and for them to have important says in the taxes and laws that are levied against its people. So I definitely believe yes, I think that it is an important issue.
I think we're doing all the legwork right now just by being go-go musicians and representing go-go to the fullest. You feel what I'm saying? And we just recently got go-go passed as the official sound of DC. So those are the first steps, of integrating the sound and music of go-go and the go-go community into statehood. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as we turn it into a state, guess what? The first sound you're going to hear is Chuck playing on the radio or UCB on the radio. So it's going to be a vibe, once this statehood thing goes through.
It's an organizing space, specifically jazz and go-go and other forms of Black improvised music specifically, holds a special power within the context of music in general. That immediacy, that urgency, that vitality that is within the music in general, that is innate to the music. In order to make the music, you have to come from this mindset. So it has the power to lift up the consciousness. It has the power to expose people to things that haven't happened before, quite honestly. And so that allows these bigger messages to be more readily accepted for people. So when we're talking about statehood, when we're talking about gentrification, and when we're talking about housing, when we're talking about all these different issues that are pertaining to the community within the context of the music, it's like we're priming people with the music in order to receive the greater messages and hopefully act on it.
Music has always been a vehicle for social change and activism, and I feel like go-go being the native Washingtonian kind of sound, it is the best vehicle for that, at least musically, for statehood and other social change within the district, and just social awareness of because the city is changing. I think that's not a secret to anybody, but like as it changes, it's good to keep the native voice like loud in people's ear. It's like, you know, people move to the city and they don't necessarily know the story behind it. I think it's very important that people understand that like this city has its own culture, and it's got a long history, and the people who were born in these neighborhoods around here and everywhere in the Northwest, all the quadrants, they need to understand like, you know, the city's got a history. There's a legacy of struggle that folks need to understand when they come here.
Artistic activism is all over the world. We always know propaganda and influencers are what is going to drive and shape political culture. We've seen that from Hitler till now. Like and that's just going to be what happens in reality and in life. Artistic activism is really rooted in the people. So governments are created, and so people do have to come out and in some type of way, shape, or form get people to mobilize behind what they're doing. The easiest way in any time is always going to be through art. So artistic activism for DC really just makes sense with it being go-go, kind of being the nucleus, and now the official music of DC, using that nucleus to really intersect politics and culture, and how we can recognize that across the nation, you know, demanding this need for statehood.
The go-go community has to be at the table, so that way we can ensure economic development. The social and economic development, that's really what the goal and the focus is. Because if we don't tie into what this money is, because it's billions of dollars in the city, and they have to pay attention to the go-go community. And what I mean by that, investing more into the go-go community, investing into programming, investing in the programming that's going to go directly into the communities that have been impoverished. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing, because they're already pushing us out. So we gotta save the people that's here. You feel what I'm saying? So as much as we can, we're gonna do it through music, we're gonna do it through our message, we're gonna do it through our presence, and we're gonna keep this thing pushing.
My hope is that Washingtonians will discover more about themselves and their history and their transplants as well, that they'll understand more of the deep, deep legacies of art, activism, culture, that exist here in the city, that will learn our history, that will understand where we come from, who we are, and that will be inspired to continue to dream, and will be empowered to think about a new path toward our own freedom.